UFC Saudi Arabia. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I am stoked to talk about this card, especially after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live, whole card, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Join the fight companion for UFC Saudi Arabia. I can't wait for it, and I know it's going to be a banging show. I'm ready to break it down. Let's jump into the fights. Fight number one on the card, we got Hamdi Abdelwahab Hamdi Damti versus Jamal Pogues. I've been picking Hamdi Damti to get it done. I feel like I have to respect the wrestling base. I think his hands are heavy. I feel like he gives Jamal Pogues trouble in pretty much every aspect. The place where Pogues would have the edge would be like long distance boxing and keeping Abdelwahab off of him. But he's going to do that for 3 rounds? I don't think so. Abdelwahab, the Greco-Roman Olympic wrestling background. The dude's got a pedigree in wrestling. Very pressure-based fighting style. He hasn't fought in a while. His debut was dating back to 2022, 2.5 years ago. Still young for heavyweight, though, at 32 years old. And if you look at his debut, it was 12 days notice. He fought against like a pretty crafty vet in Dontel Mays, who's also 6'6", a real large heavyweight. And Hamdi got a clear win. Granted, overturned to a no contest, the steroids and stuff. So there was bad looks for Hamdi Damti. He got a 2-year suspension, then he got suspended again for 6 months because he tested positive then for like testosterone afterwards. So he's had some issues with the anabolics. You wouldn't think so looking at him, but, you know, steroids for fighting and steroids for bodybuilding, I guess, it's not necessarily the same thing, right? And the performance for Abdelwahab, was it because of the steroids? Tough to say. I don't think so. I think he's still a talented prospect. Jamal Pogues is a blown-up and fat light heavyweight. That's the truth of it all. He's got good athleticism. He's quick. But overall, in wrestling, Abdelwahab. In power, Abdelwahab. In upside, trending potential at heavyweight, I got to go Hamdi Abdelwahab to win it. We got to look at the scales, though. That's what you guys are here for. It's the weigh-in show. Now, I accidentally brought the face-off up first, so there's your sneak preview. Look what I'm saying. Does Jamal Pogues not look like we get a light heavyweight and then we just inject him with 60 pounds of body fat? He can make 205. He's fought at 205. He has chosen to throw the diet away and just go on the seafood diet and just pound everything in sight to become a full-fledged heavyweight. There is like 40% body fat on him, bro. This is not his natural build. He's more slim before. He's been lean enough at 205. Hamdi Abdelwahab looked pretty good. Hamdi looked pretty good. And this was a big tell. The weigh-ins were important for us this week because Hamdi coming off the, PEDs. Looks decent. Still got that gyno, so I don't know if he's still taking something. And I wanted to compare his weigh-in here to his weigh-in for his debut. To be honest with you, somehow he looks better now. Right? He looked fatter in his debut. He took that fight on 12 days notice. He was on the sauce, but it wasn't showing. Now, accusations could be he's still on the sauce or he's just, rebuilt naturally with the 2.5 years off. I'd say he looks better now. Actually, we should look at more than just the face-off. Let me actually zoom out a bit. But the face-off right here, you see the two savages tuning up. You see the gut on Jamal Pogues. He's looking thick, man. He's looking fat. Jamal Pogues not looking good. The build is not nice on him. Not granted, Hamdi's is not really either, but I feel like he's naturally a thicker individual. Little shorter, but look at Hamdi here. He looks leaner than his debut. You got to give him some respect for coming in relatively better shape, to say the least. Not really saying that he looks aesthetic or anything like that, but it's not bodybuilding, it's fighting. Okay weigh-in for Hamdi. I've been confident picking him all week, and I think he's going to pull through. Hamdi's minus 113, so he's an ever so slight favorite. I see him as the better heavyweight than Jamal Pogues. Let's see. We got props loading in. Let's check them out. Prop betting side of things. Abdelwahab for a TKO plus 450, but I don't think that's a crazy outcome. I can see him hurting Pogues on the feet. I definitely can see him out-wrestling Jamal Pogues. I think Hamdi's on his way for a W, and I honestly believe he's going to look better in this fight than in his UFC debut, which is on short notice. Full camp, say what you want. I get the steroid accusations, but we also in Saudi Arabia, and to be fair, I don't think the testing is as heavy. His debut, he was 264.5, but he looked like he cut weight. For this fight here, he's 260. He's leaned out a tad, and I think he's going to be ready to give Jamal Pogues a lot of trouble. I think Hamdi Abdelwahab TKO win is very live. Let me pop out the Zin real quick. Shout out to the Zins. And let's keep running up the card. We're starting it off with Hamdi Damti. We got Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Lucas Alexander was a weight miss on the card. Dude cannot make 145. He came in at 148.5 for the second time in a row. He did this last fight. He needs to go up to 155. He's not a featherweight. He honestly is at risk of losing his job with the UFC. A loss here, and I'm sure he's getting cut. I'm going to pick Lucas Alexander, though. I understand that he missed weight and it's not a good look, but he's actually a pretty slick striker. He has good timing on his shots. He's comfortable on his feet, and he's smooth with his striking style, and he does have some power. Beat up Petersen a couple fights ago, and I get it. Petersen's not super high level, but he's a tough journeyman. Last fight, he was looking good early against Sargi, and then he got starched with a big looping shot. I question Bogdan Grad's chin. He got slept by Tom Nolan on Contender Series. I don't think he's that good. He was in a tooth-and-nail war with the brawler, Michael Aswell, who's, tough and fun to watch, but Alexander's way slicker than that. I think Lucas Alexander is about to give Bogdan Grad a serious level check and a welcome to the UFC. I feel like Alexander is going to surprise some people. Now, I guess, realistically, 18% of the people are picking Alexander, but the odds went from Bogdan as an okay size favorite to now Lucas Alexander being the favorite. Let's look at the scales and let's see how the Savages look as they weighed in. All right? Let's check the Savages out. Lucas Alexander, he looked in good shape, and I'm going to tell you guys straight up. He knew that cutting to 145 would probably dampen his performance, so he chose not to cut the rest of the weight. I believe there's a possibility he could have shredded 2 more pounds off the frame. He doesn't look completely flat in the shoulders. His face does not look overly sucked in. He could have made 146, but he chose not to because he's looking for the slight edge in performance, I believe, because he knew that it would be potentially taxing to him to cut the last 2.5 pounds. And that's why he came in at 148.5, because he's really not a featherweight, or at least he's not choosing to be a featherweight, because he's relatively lean. He doesn't look dead on the scale. I don't think the weight cut sucked him out nearly as bad as we've seen with fighters who, have missed weight before, or even fighters that make weight. He chose not to do it. Now, to be fair, Dr. Evil on TRT looks fucking crazy, bro. He honestly looks more like Mini-Me. Mini-Me on TRT grew a few inches in height. His fucking arms got jacked. Holy shit. Bogdan Grad looks impressive, but my God, does he look weird with the mega mind bald head. Yeah, Bogdan Grad. I really feel like style tip 101 for Bogdan. You want to build some fan lore? I get it. Maybe you were going for this Dr. Evil weird look, and maybe it's going to be his thing. But I feel like growing out a Spartan-like beard would help his aura substantially. So, Bogdan, come on. What are we doing, bro? Grow the fucking beard, man. Or at least a mustache, something. All right, let's look at the fighters as they faced off. The ceremonial weigh-ins here don't really matter. I think both guys filled in fine. You can see face-to-face, side-by-side, Lucas Alexander a bit taller, a bit longer, slicker. In a real hard matchup for Bogdan Grad. Mini-Me is not taking out Lucas Alexander. I think that we're going to see Alexander get a nice W. I'm excited as hell for this fight, actually. I feel like it's one of the more underrated bangers on the card. Savage prelim fight. Bogdan is plus 100, Alexander minus 120. But at open, Bogdan was a 2-1 favorite. A lot of money on Alexander. He should be a lot slicker and cleaner on the feet than Grad. And with debuting fighters from Contender Series, you got to worry a bit. Lucas Alexander's a decent prospect. He just, unfortunately, Jekka Saragi killed him. If he would have beat Saragi, he's in a whole different career spot. He was doing well early, then he got clipped. But no excuses for him. He lost. But I do think he's a capable striker. I think Alexander clips him, knocks him out. Plus 300 KO. I'll predict Lucas Alexander to win via knockout. He's going to put Bogdan Grad to sleep, bro. Knocking him out. Longer, right? Taller. Training that Fusion Excel, which is, at the least it's good for the grappling skills. He's working with like Mike Davis and Terrence McKinney. I think that Lucas Alexander is going to look good. I think Lucas Alexander is going to look clean in this fight. And I think he's going to give Bogdan Grad a surprising knockout loss. So we're going with Lucas Alexander for the W. And I think he's going to over-deliver. Next fight. Ladies going after it. Jasudavicius versus Mayra Bueno Silva. You know, with this fight, it's interesting because earlier in the week, I picked Mayra Bueno Silva to get the win. I've been riding with her side throughout, but did acknowledge, right? Former 135-pound title challenger. She's fought at 125. Now she's cutting back down to 25. I have some worries about how she looked on the scale. As far as the stylistic matchup, though, presented, what I have here is Bueno Silva, who's used to fighting bigger girls now, who has very good jiu-jitsu and great back takes. Jasudavicius, pressure wrestler with a good gas tank. Normally bigger than her opponents, though. And her and Bueno Silva are nearly the same size. We'll look at the scales and get a read on both of the ladies. And you can not really see the frame because in Saudi Arabia, the ladies got to keep their shirts on, okay? They're not allowed to go shirtless. Bueno Silva was looking like a dead woman on the scale. She looked uncomfortable weighing in. She seemed excited because here she made weight. You know, she was worried about it. You could see it in her eyes. She was tense, and she seemed to be very fatigued. It was an impactful weight cut that has me worried. Now, I'm not telling you that I'm necessarily pick flipping, but it's a cautionary tale of a skillful underdog who seemed to have a bad weight cut versus Jasudavicius, who looked pretty good. The women had the boxes for the weigh-ins because you'd be like, oh, but Jasudavicius also had the box brought out. They bring the boxes out in Saudi Arabia because women have never fought there. This is the first time. And in, Saudi Arabia, showcasing the bosoms, you know what I'm saying? Showcasing a little stomach. That ain't allowed. They'll be clothed up. All right. So they got them in the t-shirts here. I think that Bueno Silva has a real chance to win. And I think that she's live and I'm picking her still, but I have very much strong worries about her gas tank, especially with the hard weight cut. See, then they're wearing full sweatshirts at the ceremonials. Fully sweatshirted up. Bueno Silva's tall, though, right? You see, she's a little bit taller than Jasudavicius, at least with this angle here. They match each other in size, and Jasudavicius used to be in the bigger girl. Bueno Silva looked good early, even against Raquel Pennington. She looked good early, even against Macy Chiasson. If the weight cut didn't kill her, I think she wins. So it all comes down to, does the gas tank hold? I think the odds are way wrong in this fight. Minus 255. For Jasudavicius is just simply way too wide for me to fathom. Bueno Silva at plus 215. These odds are wrong. These odds are just plain wrong. Jasudavicius should not be minus 255. Bueno Silva should not be plus 215. At open, they were wide as well, but they got a little closer like a week or so ago, but now wide again. I think Mayra Bueno Silva could take the back of Jasudavicius and even get control time down and win 2 rounds. I think she could lock up a choke even. I think Jasudavicius is dangerous with her pressure style, but she's not a finisher at all. Bueno Silva sub upwards of, plus 600, plus 700, but more likely plus 450. I like Bueno Silva to win. I think she's live for a sub, but ultimately I'm picking her as a dog. But I will say the worrying tale around this fight is going to be Bueno Silva potentially questionable gas tank due to a very hard weight cut. Pick is Bueno Silva, though. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Terrence McKinney versus Damir Hadžović. So all week, I've been picking Terrence McKinney. I think he probably blitzes Hadžović, attacks him early with a heavy onslaught. Hadžović hasn't fought in 2.5 years. Before then, he hadn't fought in over a year. He's not active. He's a journeyman brawling striker for the most part with a subpar ground game, and he's sloppy on the feet, but he's tough. On the opposite side, McKinney coming off the violent loss to Esteban Ribovics. Before that, though, 2 wins in a row, granted, against absolute cans and Mike Breeden and Brendan Marotti. It's not like he's fighting good fighters. McKinney at one point, beat Matt Frivola, Fares Ziam, and even dropped Drew Dober and looked good in that fight. So if, he can channel the level that he's shown at one point and he has his confidence back, I do think he's very live to absolutely destroy a Damir Hadžović level journeyman. So I'm going to predict that Terrence McKinney takes home a dub. I think that he wins. Should win at least. I mean, if he loses, man, fuck. If he loses, McKinney's hype dies forever. We got Damir Hadžović. Honestly, man, he just looks freaky in this. Freaky build. Strange, like, unbalanced shoulder proportions. His, like, right shoulder is, like, a little bit sloped, right? And his chest looks strange. Very odd build. People in the chat would tell me, bro, he looks like he's on roids. His physique changed a lot. Nah, his physique has always looked pretty good. Damir Hadžović has never had a problem of looking intimidating on the scales or being physically, like, impressive with his physique. He's always looked pretty jacked. He's just not good at actually fighting for the most part. Then you got Terrence McKinney. He's not winning the physique battle. No, he's not. Hadžović wins the physique battle, but who wins the fight? Terrence McKinney, I mean, you know, looks confident, seems to be in a good headspace. I hope he is. Intense face-off here, both nearly nose-to-nose, good stare down. Hadžović is too slow twitch to deal with McKinney's explosiveness. I think Terrence McKinney is going to blitz him and stop him, probably in the first round. And he's also live on the ground. Minus 625. The odds have gotten out of hand for this. You can't really do anything here besides a parlay. Plus 450 for Hadžović. Yeah, oh, I'm chasing the plus money, but he's really not good. If McKinney doesn't win in the first round, maybe then you want to live bet Hadžović. I could be like, all right, I see where you're coming from. But, dude, Hadžovic's not good, though. He's got minimal skillful offense. He's got a brawling striking style. He's awkward on the feet, but it's not horrible. But it's like blitzing hooks and like awkward pressure after he's getting rocked. And he's been off 2.5 years and he sucks at grappling. Terrence McKinney's going to win, chat. Terrence McKinney's going to win, people. I'm so used to doing live streams. I'm calling you guys chat all the time now. McKinney wins in round 1, minus 125. McKinney wins inside distance, a whopping minus 350 at best value. That sucks. You can't do too much. You can't do too much. McKinney by sub, plus 100. McKinney KO, plus 150. I could see him blitzing Hadžović and knocking him out in the first round, but McKinney definitely has the skillful jiu-jitsu, at least early in fights, to lock up a sub on Hadžović, who's subpar everywhere. Guys, Hadžović is not good. He is a journeyman. He does not actively fight. And yes, Terrence McKinney is unreliable. Yes, the odds suck, but yes, he's going to win the fight. Let's keep going. We got more. Next up, we got the featured prelim of the night. Shamil, Lord Blob Gaziev versus Thomas Peter Griffin Petersen. I love this fight. I really love this fight. Listen, guys, I am Team Gaziev for the W. I don't care. Thomas Petersen literally looks exactly like Peter Griffin. Besides his strange looks, his wrestling is decent. His hands are okay. I wouldn't call him skillful with the hands, but he's capable at striking. He can kind of box a bit. Gaziev on the opposite side, good volume striking pressure, right? Good output. Pudgy for sure, and a little flat-footed, but decently quick hands. Now, has decent grappling to go alongside of the striking arsenal, but Petersen with a good wrestling base could be hard to take down. I'll tell you this, though. I could see Shamil Gaziev building up an output and volume to damage Petersen enough for a later stoppage, but I'm really leaning towards Shamil Gaziev beating him on the scorecards. He's the better fighter. Could he land a takedown? Maybe against a more fatigued Thomas Petersen in the later stages of the fight, but it is going to be hard to take Petersen down early. And Gaziev, you know, he likes to be able to bully his opponents, but I think he knows that in this fight, he's got to use his hands. And his boxing should be a lot better than Petersen's. I do think he's live to knock Thomas Petersen out. I'm thinking decision because of Petersen's toughness, but when I'm envisioning the boxing, I could see shots landing for Gaziev and Petersen lacking head movement, getting caught a lot down the center. I guess Petersen's got a decent left hand, though. Got a bit of pop on it. I feel Shamil Gaziev beats a Thomas Petersen level fighter. Dontel May's win last time, it was dominant, but it was underwhelming. Then the Rozenstruik loss was rough. And then Martin Buday, he wrecked easily, but Buday's horrid. We're going Gaziev. I think he's taking home a W. Gaziev for the win. That is the call. Sticking with Lord Gaziev to pull through, to take it home for a savage win. Where is the Lord Gaziev? Well, first, we got Peter Griffin on the scale. Bro, Thomas Petersen, he looks like a mix of Peter Griffin and like an enlarged grown-up baby, man. Very fucking strange look to Thomas Petersen. Very strange. Petersen is, he's special. He's a special one. He's tough, though. Listen, you don't got to be a genius for the fight game. And then we got Shamil Gaziev repping the, typical dog fighter beard with no mustache. Physique is not impressive, but when is it? Gaziev is probably going to have a speed advantage, though. And he's the better fighter than Petersen. He should be, at least. He should be. He seemed confident. He's taller as well, which is a nice little edge. A little bit of height over Petersen. Better from the outside. I don't see Thomas Petersen coming to Saudi Arabia, right? Taking out Shamil Gaziev. Nah, Gaziev's the prospect here. Petersen's okay. He's not horrible, but he's a back-end heavyweight. Gaziev is an upper mid-tier heavyweight. That's how I'll compare them. Gaziev is minus 330 as a very wide favorite, but he should be. Petersen at plus 270 is the dog. I think Gaziev taking it home. Over 1.5 is live at minus 155. Gaziev could start quick and throw hard. How many first-round finishes does he have? 5 first-round KOs. It's just Petersen normally eats a good shot. Over is live. Let's see. Gaziev on the scorecards is plus 250. Gaziev by KO plus 120. I think a later stage KO is live with the volume. But to be fair, against Buday, Gaziev started really quick. And I could see a world where Gaziev blitzes Petersen early in the fight and actually does some damage early on. Like Gaziev, unfortunately, if you're on the betting side of things, you really can't moneyline it, but you can put it in a confident parlay, and we'll talk parlays at the end. I do think Gaziev is still viable. So the pick is Shamil Gaziev. I see him winning the fight. I see him outstriking Petersen and maybe even taking down a very tired Petersen. It's hard to see Petersen out wrestling Gaziev. Gaziev's so much more mobile, so much more versatile. He's simply the better fighter. Petersen, tough though. Tough guy. At a reach disadvantage, at a height disadvantage, at a speed disadvantage. He's getting pieced up on the feet. And it's whether or not, he's got the toughness to go all three, or does Gaziev get him out early? Because Petersen's chin, it did hold up. He got knocked down the 3rd round by Where's Waldo. But Gaziev is like more well-rounded, more craftier fighter than, Where's Waldo? Very different versions of styles. Whereas Waldo is more the traditionalist boxer. I think Gaziev is better than him, though. I'm going Gaziev. Gaziev for the W. He's taking it home to close out the prelims. And I'd say he's a relatively confident pick, too. He has to be. Listen, let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Welcome to the channel if you're new. And let's get into it. First fight on the main card, Muhammad Naimov versus Kaan Ofli. The pick has to be Muhammad Naimov. I feel as though he can do essentially everything better than Kaan Ofli. Ofli's got decent enough pressure wrestling. He's a finalist from The Ultimate Fighter. He's okay. He's okay. His striking is not bad, but it's basic. Really basic. He's a little stiff on the feet. Violent loss to Myron Santos in his debut. Naimov has to be the pick here. Naimov's been the pick here. Naimov's well-rounded, right? He's got a good striking arsenal with actually impressive kicks, but on top of that has a good wrestling base. And I would say overall a versatile fighter who's comfortable out of both stances alongside of more higher caliber experience too. I think Muhammad Naimov is probably going to take home a clean win. I'm thinking decision for Naimov. In a relative back and forth fight, Naimov will land some big shots, maybe even take down Kaan Ofli and beat him on the cards. There's a chance Naimov could clip Ofli on the feet, but he doesn't have the same type of counter striking and flair to his stand-up that Myron Santos had, who recently chinned Kaan Ofli. Very different, like Brazilian-esque Muay Thai style, as opposed to Naimov, who's got solid kickboxing and explosiveness. But like when I think of his style, I still think of mixing in the wrestling, right? Not like a devastating counter striker. If he's going to throw, he's going to walk you down and throw hard. Not as slick, I should say, as like a Myron Santos. So I feel as though the decision could be more probable here. I'm excited to see the face-off, though. We're going to look at it in a second. Let's check out the scales. Let's get a look. Let's get a look for the Savages. We got to see how they looking. Kaan Ofli looks very jacked and tan. Respect to Ofli, I got to say. Dude is 100% in great physical condition. He's in shape, man. I just don't think he's really Naimov's level. Where's Muhammad Naimov? Muhammad Naimov with the fucking carpet on his chest, looking jacked and shredded too, and I think he's ready to go. He should be better than Ofli in every aspect of fighting. Ofli normally has a slight wrestling edge over these like regional level fighters, but taking on a fighter with some UFC experience now, I think Muhammad Naimov is going to do well in this fight, and I think he beats a Kaan Ofli. Rather convincing win as well. Let's look at the scales, or excuse me, let's look at the face-offs. We'll look at the ceremonials real quick. Both guys are in great physical condition. You see a little bit taller for Naimov. Ofli with the long schnoz on him, huh? I feel as though Naimov to take it home by a decision makes sense. I think Ofli puts up a better account for himself than he did in his UFC debut, but Naimov still wins. Naimov got some spinning kicks in the arsenal. I would be very happy to see Naimov spinning heel kick Kaan Ofli in the first round, and Naimov's hype just goes through the fucking roof. That'd be a sick KO in Saudi. We need it. We need it to start the main card off, but likelihood is low. Minus 345, Naimov, Ofli, plus 285. The more I think about decision, I'm like, but Ofli's stiff as fuck on the feet. Naimov's got a bit of pop. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a devastating KO puncher, but 5 KO wins and a knockout over Malarkey, who's bigger than him. KO's on a lower level in the regional scene. Let's look at the odds. So money line, huge for Naimov. Huge favorite. Looking at Naimov to win via knockout, plus 200. Decision for Naimov, plus 125. Decision was the official method call. But as much as I'd love to see a knockout, I feel like it's going to end up going distance. Like over 1.5 at minus 325 makes a lot of sense. I see a calculated and patient fight from both. Naimov exploding in moments with big bursting combinations. Muhammad Naimov to win the fight. That's the call. Muhammad Naimov. I'll say unanimous decision, but I would, I'd have a nice smile on my face to see a violent KO in this one. But, yeah, we're going with Tajikistan. We're going with Naimov. Let's keep running up the main card. The next fight on the main card, this is highly anticipated. Fares Ziam versus Mike Davis. I've been picking Mike Davis all week. I'm riding the Mike Davis Lock City train, okay? Mike Davis is crafty. He's well-rounded. He's very physically strong. He's definitely going to be the better grappler than Fares Ziam, and I actually think he can do fairly well striking with Ziam using his hands. I think Davis can mix it up pretty nicely with his punches in this matchup. Now, when I look at Fares Ziam, yes, I see a quality, upright kickboxing style. He picks his shots well. He's accurate, and I'd say he's relatively clean with his stand-up, but not a super physically strong guy and not really a grappling threat. And I think right now he's riding the high of the nice win over Matt Frivola, but Frivola is incredibly defensively inept. Mike Davis is not going to just blitz you wildly and throw stupid shots. He doesn't have a ton of UFC fights, but his debut was against Gilbert Burns nearly 6 years ago. He's got a 4-fight win streak, and I feel like he's just one of those underrated fighters that have been on the roster for a while, but have a hard time, or has had a hard time, of staying active because of some injury woes. But at 32, I think he's prime now. And I think he's got a tricky skill set for Fares Ziam, man. I feel like Davis's grappling could really come in handy here. I can see him controlling Ziam, beating him up from top. It's like everybody is now thinking Ziam's got the grappling. Like, I still think of McKinney wrecking him 3 years ago. Beat Figlock, Jai Herbert, Claudio Puelles, and then he knocked out Matt Frivola. But these are all incredibly flawed fighters. Frivola, defensively inept in a brawler. Playas, no striking, literally only has leg locks. Jai Herbert, journeyman kickboxer. And Michael Figlock, just not even good. I think Mike Davis can do work against Ziam. And I think he gets some hype built on him. I see him as a guy that fights into the top 15. He's been on the roster forever, and it just feels like he's eventually going to live up to the early expectation. It's not like he's taken L's. It's just the activity hasn't been there. Beating a Ziam puts him in more of the mainstream of the lightweight division. And there's a possibility with the win here, he could put himself in like a top 15 spot, or at the very least, something closer to it. So Mike Davis, the call for me. I like his skill set, and I think he's winning the fight. I see him getting it done. We're going Mike Davis W, but we got to check out the scales. We got to see. First, Ziam, who's lean and in shape, but you see what I'm saying? He's relatively skinny, relatively thin, doesn't have a lot of muscle on him, right? And I think in the exchanges of grappling, the physicality of Davis, who's also the older fighter, not old, but older at 32 and truly primed, is going to have an edge. There's Mike Davis looking in very good shape. We got to look at the face-off. Let's check out the face-off. Davis is wide. That's another thing. Davis has good width, right? Look at the width. When you see wide fighters like this with backs like that, that's a lot of grappling strength. Whereas Ziam, a bit more on the narrow side. A lot of grappling is your pulling strength, right? So somebody with that strong pulling strength, strong back, wide back, going to be tough to deal with in grappling. Ziam has what I would consider a kickboxer's build, a striker's build, whereas Davis has the true hybrid MMA fighter build, wide shoulders, thick back, solid striking, but very strong on the ground. And I think he's going to have a clear advantage. Look at the side-by-side. Let me move myself down. Look at the delt of Davis. Look at the delt of Ziam. Look at the width. The width of Ziam, he's relatively, slim, right? From chest to back. The opposite end, a lot more thickness here with Davis. I'm telling you, that's grappling strength. That's real power. Davis is going to do well. I think he's going to shine, and I'm loving him as the lock this week. Minus 140 for Mike Davis. The odds have stayed the same for the most part as of recent, with Ziam at plus 120. We're going Mike Davis to take the W home. W Davis. W Davis in the comments right now, if you agree. W Davis in the comments. Davis by decision, plus 165, relatively live. But submission called my name. I think Davis can get a sub here. Upwards of plus 400 for the sub. I like the sub chance at plus 400 as opposed to propping the decision. I also just think Davis straight down the center money line is actually like a high quality money line play for a confident play. Like I would have expected Davis. I guess skill-wise, I see him as like a 2-to-1 or more favorite, but I recognize the resume of what Ziam has done as of recent has brought this line closer. But as far as the gap in levels, I think Mike Davis is really fucking good. And I'm going with Mike Davis to win. So Mike Davis for the W, taking it home, and I'm locking him this week too. Let's get it. He's taking out the Frenchman. Next fight on the card, certified bantamweight banger. That's how you describe this fight. Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira has been my pick all week, and right now he is like the hottest prospect at bantamweight. He's getting a massive fight in his third UFC appearance against Said Nurmagomedov. I mean, his second UFC fight, they gave him Ricky Simone, who had main evented, okay? This dude has some push behind him. 21-3 record. More fights than Said Nurmagomedov, who's been on the UFC roster for a really long time. I like the style of Oliveira. He's unorthodox with his striking, hands-low style, which makes him incredibly hard to read, right? He's still relatively slick, has good head movement, and really good timing on his shots. With the hands-low style, I think that gives a crafty kickboxer like Said Nurmagomedov some trouble, especially with Oliveira, who has good athleticism and also solid movement. His footwork is good. He's not clunky on the feet. Physically, he's strong, and his grappling game, I'd say, overall is solid. On the opposite end, I'd say Said Nurmagomedov does have good accuracy on his strikes. He does have elusive striking, and I'm very interested to see how they clash. I think both will have moments in the fight. But Oliveira outworks him and outdogs him. I have questions around the gas tank of Said in round 3, around the heart. Jonathan Martinez fight ends. Said's with his hands on his knees, sitting there breathing. Martinez putting his hands up. It was a close fight. Martinez got it. You can outdog Said Nurmagomedov, and lock dog Vinicius Oliveira is destined to outdog Said Nurmagomedov. Now, just because you see the Nurmagomedov name, this is not a cousin of Khabib, okay? He doesn't even train with Team Khabib. He trains with the Dogfighter team, which is more of a kickboxing focused gym. They have, still solid grappling, but when you think of this gym, Dogfighter, you think of strikers like Zabit, like Said. It's a kickboxing-based style that they tend to have. And Vinicius Oliveira is a gangster. Now, Said's got good chokes, to be fair. He's got very good front headlock positioning, right? Good guillotines, ninja chokes, you could even call them. He's got the high elbow gilly down. He's caught it, 3 of his last 5 fights? I don't think Vinicius Oliveira is doing something stupid and putting himself in a gilly. I say Vinicius Oliveira wins a dogfight against Said Nurmagomedov and builds a ton of hype with a massive, massive win in just his 3rd UFC fight, beating Said Nurmagomedov. Huge. Said's losses are to Jonathan Martinez and Hani Barcelos. One Brazilian has gotten past Nurmagomedov already, and I think we got another Brazilian, Vinicius Oliveira, who's going to do it too. Let's look at the scales. Let's check the fighters out. Let's see what we're working with here. Where's Said? Said, there we are. Said Nurmagomedov. To be honest, he looks a lot like Jonathan Pierce when you really look at him. In good shape. Looks solid. Nothing negative to say about him. He's a crafty fighter. Vinicius Oliveira, though, seems like an absolutely insane, savage Brazilian. Oliveira got a special vibe to him, man. I don't know how to describe it. He's got this like BJ Penn, Max Holloway blended with Brazil vibe. I don't know how to explain it. He's got the UFC tattooed on his arm as well as UAE Warriors. So fighting in this side of the world is not as much of a new thing for him, right? He's fought over in UAE Warriors. He's been in the desert, He's been in the Middle East before. I think that Vinicius Oliveira is going to look really good and comfortable in this spot. And I think this is also going to be the best version we've ever seen of Vinicius Oliveira. And I see him beating Said Nurmagomedov. Special prospect on the come up that you have to keep a very close eye on. Let's scroll down. We got Oliveira looking like a madman. Said just looking chill. He's in good shape. Intense face-off between the two. Oliveira is so confident. Oliveira at the face-off, I like the body language. It tells me he's not intimidated at all of Said Nurmagomedov. He feels no fear in this. And I think that he's ready for this level jump, even though he's very young in his UFC career. He's an experienced fighter. He's got more fights than Said, and I see him beating him too. Looking at the odds for the fight, Vinicius Oliveira is plus 130. He was as big as plus 250, which seems outlandish. Said minus 151 as now a favorite. I think Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira is taking it home. Over 2.5 probable at minus 130. I feel like it's live to go distance here. And then Oliveira by decision at plus 300 up to plus 400. Let's see. What other lines we got at the bottom? I think realistically, they're going decision. Most likely they're going decision. And I see the side of Oliveira winning a fair decision. I know people say, oh, but it's going to be the biased side. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Vinicius outdogs him and wins. But I'd be damn hyped. I mean, if you can pull off the flying knee in the fashion that you did in your debut, if you're Vinicius Oliveira, could you imagine he got like an emphatic, crazy knockout of Said? I see it more as a back and forth fight, though. And I see Oliveira getting it done on the scorecard. So Vinicius, lock dog, Oliveira as an underdog call from me. I'm picking him to take out Said Nurmagomedov. Let's go. I'm excited for this. Ricky Simone win, Sopai win. He's ready for this jump. Said last time, listen, took out Gafarov easy. It was over a year ago now. And Gafarov ain't no Vinicius Oliveira. Next fight, featured fight, heavyweights. Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Pavlovich is going to separate Jairzinho Rozenstruik from consciousness. I've been picking Pavlovich all week. He is going to absolutely do work on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Pavlovich's boxing is lethal. It's so crazy how everybody's turned on him. Now, granted, he's still a big favorite, but I see a ton of people in the live chat and a lot of the comments, they've lost all faith. Like Pavlovich, he gets outstruck by Volkov over a hard 3 rounds. Now Rozenstruik's going to do the same thing. Did Rozenstruik not get beat in round 1 by Volkov? Did we forget about that? Because Rozenstruik out kickboxed Tai Tuivasa to a dominant decision, ignore the split, that was delusional. He's going to do that with Pavlovich? Pavlovich has a death touch punch. Pavlovich, yes, he was violently knocked out by Tom Aspinall. He caught him early, and then he got caught. Volkov was able to outstrike him. But what did Pavlovich do? Instead of sitting and crying, oh, my career's over, he fucking dialed in more than ever before. Sergey Pavlovich is more ready than he was before. You know why? You see what that weight says? 249. Sergey Pavlovich looks lean. Sergey Pavlovich has shredded up a bit. He has taken the game more serious than ever before. Look, Pavlovich with some legit abs. His last weigh-in, he was 260. Before that, he was 259. He's dropped 10 pounds of fat. He doesn't look smaller. He looks more cut. Jairzinho Rozenstruik with the typical build that he has. Listen, he's thick. He's thick everywhere. He's got some fat on him, but it works for him. That's Rozenstruik's build. He's just a little bit on the hefty side. He's thick boy. Thick boy Rozenstruik. Biggie boy, call him thick boy. He looks cut, but he doesn't look small. The muscles have not been lost. Pavlovich is just absolutely dialed in. He is going to starch Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik has to outstrike him for 3 rounds. He's going to knock him out? I don't think so. I think Rozenstruik gets caught on the inside. When they start boxing, the power of Pavlovich will showcase itself. And a very physically fit Pavlovich, I think he's winning by knockout. I think that we're going to see Rozenstruik hurt badly in a boxing exchange, and I think we get a violent KO win for Sergey Pavlovich. I'm actually feeling really good about Sergey taking it home by knockout. Rozenstruik, thinking he can just kick with him from the outside. He'll chop a low kick, a big shot over the top, out cold. Reach advantage also favoring the side of Sergey Pavlovich by 6 inches, and he's taller. I like these factors. I like these things. Oh, 6'7" Volkov outstruck him. So that's just what's going to happen now. That's the new look for him. Come on. Minus 285, Pavlovich. Minus 285, Pavlovich. Plus 245, Rozen. So almost at minus again for freaking Rozenstruik. Sergey Pavlovich, knockout. Pavlovich KO, minus 230. Not doing much. Minus 200, not doing much. You can't get much from it. Pavlovich wins round 1, minus 135. Dog, let me tell you straight. I think this fight is Pavlovich in the parlay. Pavlovich in the parlay. I'll tell you the parlay at the end. A new Lock City parlay has come to me. A better one. Pavlovich wins. Bum, 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 bum. Minus 125 for first round KO. Plus 375 for second. Pavlovich is going to starch Rozenstruik. And he's going to get back on track. Don't doubt Sergey. He's a young heavyweight. He's 32 years old. He's just coming into his heavyweight prime now. He's just taking it as serious now. Real serious. Sergey Pavlovich, in devastating fashion, sleeps Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I, for one, cannot wait for it. I'm excited. Let's go. Pavlovich for the dub. Let's jump to the co-main event. We got Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. I've been picking Shara Bullet Magomedov to beat Michael Venom Page throughout the entire week. I think his kicks will be effective here, as well as his speed. I also see him catching Venom Page with decent shots on the inside. His reflexes are up there with the best in the game, and it seems as though his timing is unmatched. You can recognize that with a double spinning back fist knockout of Armin Petrosian, which is a Matrix-style one-of-one technique. Michael Venom Page is a quality striker. He's very unorthodox. He's hard to read with this wide stance. He's tricky to deal with. No arguments from me there. But Michael Venom Page is not a middleweight. 0%. He's not a middleweight. He weighs 185, but he's not a middleweight. We're going to look at the scales. I'm going to show you more. Shara Bullet can chop at the legs. Shara Bullet can explode on the inside. And he also can counter that straight that Venom Page likes to throw as opponents look to close the gap. I think he's got the reflexes to counter and catch him. I think Shara Bullet's going to beat Michael Venom Page. Page is a blown-up welterweight. Shara Bullet looks terrifying. Look at the one eye. Look at the fucking pirate. Look at the monster. Look at this animal. This animal's not losing. This guy's built different. Dagestan kickboxer. Looks like he's ready to kill. Where's MVP? Bruh, MVP don't really look good. MVP looks like a welterweight who didn't cut weight. Little heavy in the midsection, like general, like average, lightly fit guy build for him. I don't think this is going to work for MVP. I think it's going to be a failed, unintelligent jump to 85 with no intention of sticking around. He's lean, but he's fat for Michael Venom Page. Shara Bullet looks ready to kill him. Look at the face-off. Shara is staring into his soul. MVP got intimidated at the face-off, guys. MVP got intimidated. Normally, he's like so confident and cocky. The way Shara stood him down, MVP felt uncomfortable trying to do his normal flow. He smiles at him. We're buddies now. Hey, don't hurt me too bad, Shara Bullet. You could smell and see the fear on Michael Venom Page's face when Shara looked into his eyes. Michael Venom Page's heart fluttered. He is intimidated by Shara Bullet. I don't blame him. Shara is one of the more intimidating fighters on the roster. Look at his fucking eye. Holy shit. And we're in Saudi Arabia. Michael Venom Page knows that an L is imminent here. And as crafty as he is with his striking, he's a welterweight. And he's not ready for the machine, Shara Bullet, to throw some snapping kicks, to close the distance with quickness, and give him a very, very difficult fight. And don't be shocked if Shara Bullet mixes in a trip. Very tricky to deal with his awkward trips, okay? It's not like he goes basic blast double legs. Unorthodox wrestling style that Shara can bring. Minus 180 for Shara Bullet, plus 155 for Michael Venom Page. I'm picking Shara Bullet to win. The over at minus 235 is likely, but I would love to see Shara chin MVP. Plus 265 for Shara Bullet. Magomedov plus 130. The betting side of this fight is not really where I'm pushing for. I want to sit, watch, and enjoy Shara Bullet win. But I will say, I do think Shara Bullet pulls through. I'd be very happy with the KO, but can I really push a confident investment in it at plus 265 when Page is hard to hit? More likely, we go to the scorecards and Shara Bullet wins a decision, plus 130. He probably gets 2 rounds to 1. Could be 3-zip, but I could see 2-1. It really depends upon the Saudi judging. But I think Shara gets a clear win. I know people said controversial win incoming, but I think a clear win incoming. I think he gives Michael Venom Page I don't want to say a lesson, right? Because Venom Page is going up in weight, but I think he showcases his true striking prowess against a crafty welterweight in Michael Venom Page that's just simply outmatched here against a stronger, I think relatively slicker even in certain aspects. Like Venom Page at times can look clunky. He's very unorthodox, which gives people trouble, but I don't think Shara Bullet fears his unorthodox style because I don't think Page has the power to win by knockout against Shara Bullet. That's very hard for me to fathom. You look, he knocked out Goichi Yamamuchi. Goichi's a fucking lightweight for the most part. Douglas Lima split decision, which should have been a loss. The Storley fight sucked. It's not even worth mentioning. Kevin Holland decision. Lost to Gary with Gary using grappling in that fight. So he beat Derek Anderson knockout in 2021. His last knockout win was the leg kick of Goichi. He destroyed his leg, who was a lightweight, though. Now he's fighting a middleweight, Shara Bullet. He's not knocking him out. Shara Bullet's winning. Shara Bullet to beat Michael Venom Page, and I think the respect will be put on his name more than ever after this one. We're going Shara W. Let's go. Let's talk the main event. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe too. We got Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. I've been picking Nasruddin Imavov all week. I believe Imavov's going to win. I think Adesanya's past his prime. That's a big reason that I'm picking Nasruddin Imavov. Izzy does not have the same counter-strike ability as he had in his prime. Oh, but he caught Pereira. Listen, he was still getting chopped apart. Yes, he caught him with the beautiful counter-strike and knocked out a Pereira who came in reckless with his hands low, which he typically does. Adesanya fought him, what, the 4th time he finds the button? I think Nasruddin Imavov is underrated with his boxing. He's actually pretty slick on the feet. His hands move well. He's got good timing. His kicking skills are not bad. He's got good teeps up the center. Not as slick with his kicking arsenal overall as a comparison to Israel Adesanya, but I do think going to be tricky for Izzy to deal with in the pocket. I see both guys having moments in the fight, and Imavov landing clean shots on Izzy. And when it comes down to digging deep, we saw Adesanya break against Dricus du Plessis. He got caught. He was running. He got taken down, and he got choked out. Boom. Nasruddin Imavov comes on stronger as the fight keeps heating up. He might start slow and lose the first round, but second, third, fourth, fifth is when the beast turns on. And I think Nasruddin Imavov is going to beat Israel Adesanya. Don't be shocked if Imavov grapples him. Izzy is not good on the ground. Don't be shocked if Imavov mixes in a trip, gets on top, controls Izzy from top position. Don't be shocked if Izzy gets submitted in this fight. Imavov's not bad on the ground. He's still Dagestan blood, though he's a French fighter. He's still Dagestani. And his grappling is not bad. Imavov's grappling is just not an arsenal that he always brings to the table, but at the very least, it's very sound on the defensive portion. We've seen it, being used in survival mode against Brendan Allen early when Allen's at his most dangerous on the ground. But offensively, he can mix in grappling too. I can see him timing a takedown against Izzy. I can see him punching him up against the cage with Izzy on all fours and Imavov with a bit of ground and pound. I could see Imavov jumping Adesanya's back and choking him out. I could also see Imavov winning a tooth and nail battle with Izzy. But the more we get closer to this fight, the more I feel as though a finish is coming. A conclusive end to Adesanya's legacy really is here. I'm not saying it's career over, but I don't think Adesanya is the same anymore. 2 straight losses. He reached his pinnacle, beating Alex Pereira. That was his boogeyman, and he got him. He got the 1 win over him. I think Nasruddin Imavov is ready to win. And I think he's really ready to make a move towards a number 1 contender fight. This is close to it. Imavov's been crafty for a long while, and he's got a good flow. He did well against Sean Strickland. He was 10 pounds lighter on fight night. Yes, it was a short notice fight for Strickland, but he was also 10 pounds lighter than Strickland. You can't overlook that fact. He went 5 rounds. He had moments in the fight. Then we saw what Strickland did to Adesanya afterwards. Nasruddin Imavov is at that level for sure. Don't overlook him. Nasruddin Imavov to beat Adesanya. He can match him in the striking, especially in the boxing, in the pocket. Imavov's got some slick hooks. On the ground, he's going to be more effective. Better wrestler than Israel Adesanya. Though Imavov is not known as a wrestler, he still is a superior wrestler to Adesanya. I have a hard time seeing Adesanya out-wrestling Imavov. If I told you the opposite happened, you're like, yeah, I could see it. Striking is Adesanya's way to win. He's going to have to outstrike Imavov in a pretty tooth and nail back and forth fight for 5 rounds. How bad does he want it? Adesanya's already lived it. He's a multiple-time champion. He's been at the top for years. He's 35 years of age. He's taken a lot of damage over his career. It's Nasruddin Imavov's time now. And Imavov is going to beat Israel Adesanya. Let's look at the fighters on the scales. Imavov, aura is high, looks shredded, in shape, but more importantly, he looks like a big middleweight. Adesanya looks in decent shape, but I'd say the angle's doing him more justice. He looked relatively skinny. In all actuality, we'll look at the ceremonials for this fight too. Very good physique here, though, for Nasruddin. Looking here, though. Let's check it out. Imavov looking jacked, strong. When I see the width, I think, is he planning to mix it in a takedown? Don't be surprised. Adesanya looks okay. The prime necklace drops his aura a couple points, though. Nah, honestly, I'm jealous. It's cool. It's not a bad look. I'm talking shit. Can't hate on the necklace. It's straight diamonds. There's a face-off. Imavov a little bit bigger. Definitely a little bit thicker. I see Nasruddin Imavov winning. I think he can get this fight to the ground. Both guys are confident. We're going to find out what Izzy has left in the tank. I think he can still put up a good fight, but when it gets to those deep dog moments where it's all about who wants it better, wouldn't Imavov be the call? He hasn't reached the pinnacle. Adesanya's rich. Plus 140 Imavov, minus 155 Adesanya. Listen, I've been picking the side of Imavov all week. I'm sticking with that side. What is the submission line? Plus 850 Imavov by sub. How many sub wins he's got? 4 submission wins for him. On the ground win here. Use some grappling here. Listen, Imavov showcasing grappling in this fight where he has a clear advantage in it, it's making a lot of sense. I'm not going to be shocked if Imavov subs him. Now, I could see Imavov ready for a hard 5 rounds, too, and winning a pretty back-and-forth fight against Adesanya. This is going to be a hell of a main event. I'm damn excited, guys. This is going to be sick. It's going to be Savage Mode Saudi Arabia in this hoe. Unfortunately, no Savage Mode USA because we ain't stateside for this card. It's going to be a good fight. I'm going to Imavov. I don't know why this submission is called, man. I think he could get the sub. Originally, the pick was decision, but I just have a weird hunch that he's using grappling in this fight, and he finds a way to get Izzy into a compromised spot on the ground and choke him out. I question Adesanya's grappling heavily, and I think Imavov may look to exploit that. But in the striking, even if it is just striking, Imavov can kickbox with Izzy. Imavov from the yellow and the green zone, right? I would say green zone, Adesanya, yellow, close, but I'll favor the side of Imavov a bit for his boxing and his teeps. And then I'd say on the inside, red zone, true close range stand-up. I think Imavov is more elusive. I think Imavov is more dangerous. He mixes it up in the pocket better. In a dirty fight, he beats Israel Adesanya. And I'm saying he outdogs Izzy here, and he's also live to win it using grappling. Nasruddin Imavov to upset Israel Adesanya. And I honestly think he's in the title picture with this win. I feel like at 35.5, the wars he's been through over the years, how long has Izzy been at the top? Come on. Dating back, what? Interim title fight, 2019. April 2019. It's now 2025. Over almost 6 years at the top. Going against all the best in the world, taking some serious damage in recent fights. I think Imavov's taking him. We're going Nasruddin Imavov to level up and get the biggest win of his life, taking out Israel Adesanya in the main event of UFC Saudi Arabia. Now, we're not done yet, though, guys. We got to talk about parlays, but I want to discuss the post-weigh-in. So, Lock City, Davis, and Naimov, I want to add the alternate Lock City because I really felt as though I needed to see the aura of Pavlovich to be certain. But I actually really have a liking for Pavlovich and Davis as well. If you're looking to match the odds of the Lock City parlay, but mix it up with a little something different, you can see it right here. I'll bring that screen back up. But these two together, boom. Not a horrible look. I still like the rest. The early two. I have to still ride with the, the instincts that came to me on, Wednesday. Now, the D-Gen stuff, you got to throw the dogs in the mix. You could just sweep the board, though. If you go all the confident picks together, you're like, yo, listen, I just want to go confidence. I don't really care about chasing the dog money. I don't even care what the line looks like. Okay, well, if we go a lot of confidence, so we got Pavlovich, McKinney, Davis, Gaziev. Where's my guy Naimov? Naimov. Plus 363. And then if you believe Hamdi wins, Hamdi Damti plus 749. So you can throw a different D-Gen 1 in the lineup here. This is D-Gen if you just go with the most confident picks. You don't even need to chase dogs in it. A special for the weigh-ins, Then you go super D-Gen mode. You see the rest of it. If you add Bueno, Silva to the one at the bottom, it goes crazy. Like, you can get crazy plus money if you want to go chasing wildness. 2 3-fighter parlays are your highest likelihood of success. Davis and Oliveira, it's Savage Dog City. Davis and Naimov should pull through. I think Naimov and Gaziev's a good alternate. Or you could go a different alternate. You could even go alternate with Pavlovich, McKinney, and Naimov in your 3. And if you don't like McKinney, maybe you're throwing Davis in the lineup with the big 3 there. Be cautious with your parlays. Be intelligent. But I definitely feel as though there's some quality parlays to be made. If you, sit down and consider, because I got some calls that I think are pretty solid this week. Mixing some dogs in the lineup with some confident picks and get you some nice plus money. But overall, even if you're not into the betting side, bro, the fight overall, the card is incredible. I'm so hyped for Saudi. 312 feels like the fight night. This feels like the pay-per-view. 312 is next week, but we're focused on Saudi. I will be live for the whole card at 9 a.m. Tune into the live stream. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this week's weigh-in recap show. I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys for always supporting me. If you don't have the post notifications turned on, make sure you turn them on, and don't just put them on personalized. Put them on all. You don't want to miss a video. You definitely don't want to miss a live stream, because throughout the week, I'm doing pretty much 2 streams a day, bringing the thunder at lunchtime and in the evening. So keep it locked in. Keep it locked and loaded. Hit subscribe, smash the likes, and I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments. And if you got nothing to say in the comments, as always, you just enjoy the content. W to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you all for the fights. Peace out.